Welcome to my billet course. 4 volumes, each on a different subject. Volume 1 is on peaks, Volume 2 is on switchwork, Volume 3 is on jazz dancing, and Volume 4 is on Q&A. I've often wondered why more mentalists don't do billet works when you consider that many of the great mentalists of all time have had billet work as a major feature of their act. Dunninger in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and early 60s, when he was doing question and answering, that was essentially billets. The amazing Kreskin, doing his question and answer, the core of his act, essentially billets. In England, Maurice Vogel, one of the great English mentalists of all time, was phenomenal with billets, and Al Coran. In America today, Bob Cassidy, who's one of our most creative performers, is a billet worker. With billets, you can do almost anything, and over the next 4 DVDs, you're going to get a chance to see just how much you can do and the wide variety of techniques. I think the difference between this course and reading a book here and there is that I've tried to break down billet work in learnable, easy to do, with a little bit of practice, easy to do mechanics. I've given you some routines to show you how you can breathe life into billet work, and it's not really just about the little slips of paper. You can make a reputation with billet work. Corinda, in his 13 Steps of Mentalism, one of the books that you must have if you're a serious mentalist, has this to say about billets. He says, some may be prompted to ask, why do billets? He says, well, don't, unless you happen to be one of those people that loves mentalism as an art and think that in its purest form you can come down to working with practically no props, relying purely on personal skill and showmanship to create a miracle out of a little piece of paper. He says, you can take my word for it. Every hour of work to study the use of billets will reward you with years of pleasure. Get enough practice and find out what you can do with them, and I'll lay you 10 to 1 that you'll chuck away the suitcases of props and walk around with a small pad of paper and a pencil in your pocket. People often say to me, what do you think is the best mental effect? And when they ask, I always reply the same. To me, I've met nothing yet that will replace my esteem for the center tear. For a good many years, this one trick with a billet has stood me in good stead. I've used it everywhere under almost every possible condition. Never once has it failed me to do more good than any 3 other things that I might do. He says, I wish you lots of luck and as much success as Bert Reese, Foster, and Morelli had with bits of paper. It was their living. And I think you'll find that billet work will be exciting for you, and that you actually can do it. During the course of these 4 DVDs, we're going to ask and answer a lot of the questions that often don't get talked about in works on billets. And so you'll learn psychology and presentation and premise as well as technique. So let's launch into it, and I hope you really enjoy and start performing billet work. That's what I got.
Oh my God! Again! Wow! Yeah, that's nice.
Thank you. I didn't have to go to bed. It was a very strange story. When I went back, it wasn't there. But all movie stars with real charisma. Here's Tom Cruise. No, not Tom Cruise himself. Here's a guy. I can't do that. This volume is on peak work. Peaks are a relatively new avenue in billet work. Many of the older texts dealt with switchwork. Peaks were really started, the craze on peaks was started by Millard Longman, who developed Acidus Novus and Acidus Plus, and we'll be talking about those in a little while. And that really started a craze that exists to today of different ways of peeking at things where you're just using one billet. Peeks are usually for quick reads. They're generally to gain access to information, as opposed to switches where you can not only gain access to information, but you can switch in information. And peeks are a wonderful way of quickly getting what you need to know. We're also going to cover in this volume center tears, the classic center tear and one instant read center tear that my good friend Barry Richardson has permitted me to explain to you. So let's take a look at some of the materials that we'll use. So you have a wide variety of materials. You can use business cards, and many mentalists do use business cards because they're a nice size and you always have them with you for peeks. But peeks can also be used for larger cards like index cards. Unlike billet switchwork where an index card would probably be too big, index cards are ideal. And you can certainly use slips of paper. Now my own preference is to use business cards or index cards because they have body. And in the peeks that we're going to show you, that body, that springiness of the cards will work to our advantage in making the peeks easy to do. Not as easy with sheets of paper, but you can do that as well. So I'd like to talk to you now about what to peek and when to peek before we get into looking at some actual peeks. One of the things that is often not talked about in the literature on peek work are some important questions. What to peek? What information are you going to write down? Now, in fact, since you're doing just what they would think you were doing, which is like taking a look at what they wrote, it's got to be rather quick. And if it's going to be that quick, you have to be able to spot the information quickly and comprehend it quickly. So you really can't have long sentences. You could have easy to understand drawings. You could have a single word or a single name. You can't count on people writing too legibly, so you might consider having them write things that you're familiar with, like a city in the world. So you can probably figure out that it's Boston or Paris. You might do initials. Think of someone write their initials down. It might be a 2 or 3 digit number. I wouldn't have an 8-digit number because memorizing that in a glance would be very, very difficult. So when you're going to make a decision between peek work and switch work, what it is that you need to spot is going to determine which technique is better. And in the case of peeks, short, easy, and recognizable is what you should go for. Where and how do you peek? There's what I call a sort of a natural gaze. If I had, for instance, on this card, information written that I was going to peek, if I sort of had a natural gaze for a minute, downward, as in picking it up, that would be okay. There's a technique which I call sort of the wandering technique, where you're kind of looking in different places. And one of the spots that you'll look at is at the card to get your peek, but you don't stay there very long. So it's kind of I'm just either looking for something or I'm thinking about something, and during those different head movements I might get the information. And one of my favorite ways is during action, and I'll show you some of those where you're doing something with the card, you're handing it to someone or putting it in an envelope. So where you get your peek, when you look, is very important. As to when, you can do it right away, so the instant you pick up the card, that's when you get the peek. you can do it after beginning to reveal information, and this is a technique that is well known in mentalism, where you start doing cold reading and seemingly describing the person even before you've gained access to the information. So they feel as if you already know, and that takes some of the heat off of your peak. And as I said before, during some sort of action. So let's start with Acidus Novus, Millard Longman's terrific breakthrough peak. Acidus Novus, developed in 1979 by Millard Longman as an easy way to get information, has really been the inspiration for the majority of peak work in the last 25 years, 26 years. And I want to thank Millard for letting me show you Acidus Novus, and I'm only scratching the surface with this, and I'll give you some resources at the end of this DVD. The idea is we're going to peek at a portion of the interior of the business card, and you can actually peek at any one of the 4 quadrants, but the quadrant we'll focus on will be this quadrant, the lower right quadrant, and I'll just sort of darken that in so you can see that's where we would have the information written. And we'll talk about how you get it there in a way that seems logical. The card needs to be folded in a particular way. That is from left to right with an overlap. And you can see the overlap because of the black nature of my card. And then from top to bottom with another overlap. The reason you want these overlaps is so that you're going to pull this layer back so you can see it. And by having the overlaps, you have perfect shading, so it just looks like I'm holding the card. But really, I've stuck my thumb inside so I can see that writing area. The fact that the front half of the card is bigger than the back half of the card gives me perfect cover. So I can just simply appear to be holding the billet. And that is essentially how Acidus Novus works. And if you wanted to use one of the other quadrants, you would fold the card accordingly. So if someone completes the information, you can pick up the card and catch the information as you hand the card to someone else. So you might take it from this person, you say, oh, would you hold on to it, and hand it to that person over there. And in that action, you got the peak. The angle looks like this, where we're sort of angled. We're not direct on, we're flat back a little bit, so I can look straight in there to see the information. I can look straight in there to see the information. Another way to do this is, and this is great for pre-show work, is to have an envelope. And this is one of those reads where you're going to do it in an action. So you have the envelope, they filled out the information, you pick this up, you don't peek yet, but you're already there. And you go like this. And apparently you're looking in the envelope, but you're looking past the envelope to the card, and then you put the card in the envelope and have them seal it. So that's a great way of getting the peak. So you go hand-to-hand transfer or putting the card in the envelope. So now let's take a look at some routines using Acidus Novus. How many of you guys know the game Password?
No,
Okay, kind of. Okay. And Password, I mean, they have a board game now, but when I was growing up, Alan London was there and he was always handing things down, and one person would get the word, and then you would have to give clues to the other person. And so we're going to play a game of Password. but we're going to reduce the number of clues one by one. So you're going to actually, you're going to write a word. I'm not going to get it. Someone else will get it. You're going to write a word, write it right there, print the word.
Just any word?
Any word, but not like a common name. You know, like, so just a word. It doesn't matter if I see it, but just don't let them see it. And then fold the card up. Cool? Okay. Now, who do you want to be the sender, and who do you want to be the receiver?
You can send.
Okay? In true Alan Ludden fashion, take that. Don't show it to anyone, or you're going to have to send it to one of these two people here. Who should we? To Nancy. Open it up, look at the word, and fold it back up. And you can only give her 3 clues. And let's see how fast she gets it. Go ahead.
Vehicle,
Car.
Tonka.
Truck.
Is that it? Very good. Okay, we're going to make it tougher.
Yeah.
We're going to make it tougher. Okay? I want you to write here. I want you to write here another word, and then fold the card up, and someone else will send.
Okay.
Let's fold it this way. Okay? And who do you want to send this time?
Adam.
Adam, okay, Adam?
Pressure.
Adam, who are you going to send it to? Before you look at the word, not me, one of these guys.
Before I look at the word?
Yeah, who do
Right
you
over here.
Pete, okay, open it up. You only get 2 clues. You got it on 2, but I'm going to give you 2. Hold it up. 2 clues.
Great. Fruit.
Apple.
Schnapps.
This is the wrong person.
Truck. Just go with it.
This is a fruit. I don't know.
What was it?
Peach.
Peach. Okay, peach, okay.
I don't know why that.
So this time, let's see. Nancy,
Yeah.
I want you to put a word up there and then fold it up. And let's see. I think you should send to Matt here.
Okay.
Well, no, actually, no. Just no. You're not going to send. Just write the word. Okay. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to let you send it to him just to see if it works any better with a blood relative. Only this time you only get 1 clue. 1 clue.
All right.
Hold it up again.
Vegetable. Artichoke.
As a carrot. All right. Okay. Last time around. Okay. I want. Oh, let's see. You write a word in there and then fold it back up again. Okay. Now we're down to like almost no clues. But well, we can't have no clues. So, but we'll do this unusual. We'll do this. You can see it's not that easy. It's, I mean, you know, it's like, who would have thought? You know, asparagus. You know,
Yeah.
it was clear there was carrot. I mean, you know,
It was artichoke.
artichoke or whatever it was. You know, it was clear. Okay. And then fold the card back up. Cool. Okay. And this time, who do you want to be the sender this time? I mean, I'm not going to send it. Which one of you guys do you want to be the sender this time?
I'm terrible at it. So.
No, he can't send because he saw
he
it.
wrote it.
All right, I'll send. No?
Okay. Yeah, you can send it, but you're going to send it to me,
I'm sending it to you.
but silently. Okay.
It'll be new.
All right. Silently. Okay. And I'll try to get the clues silently.
Okay.
But I get more than 1. Okay? Send me the clues silently. Okay? Like bush, no, not bush. It's not a vegetable. It could have peaches, but it's not that. It's living thing. It's in the botany. It's a tree.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes, it's.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow. Wow.
So password. It's a great party effect. You can use business cards. You can use index cards. For purposes of this explanation, I'll use the index card to make it easier. Again, we're folding it so that we have the overlap from left to right, and then we have the overlap from top to bottom so that I can get that peak. This is a lesson in how to disguise the peak. You bring up the game of password, and you say, let's play. Who would like to play? And you write a word in the upper right quadrant. Or you don't write a word, you have someone write a word. Have them fold it up. You take it from them and you say, who would you like to be the sender? Hand the card to that person, say, open the card up, see the word, and you need now to give clues to who do you want to be the receiver? Oh, you want that person to be the receiver. Okay, give clues. Let's see how many clues it takes before they get the word. It's just like the game of password. Okay, who else wants to play? So write another word, write it here, and so they write another word. In that quadrant, fold it up, you take it from them, you say, okay, who's going to be the sender this time? And you hand it, okay, who's going to be the receiver? And they play the game of password again. You do it a third time. Again, someone writes the word. And what you've done is you've left this target area open. And each time you take the card, who's going to be the sender and who's going to be the receiver. Now, the word that you're going to discern, we'll call it the target word, is written in that area. And it's very logical because we've been playing this sort of fun game of password. They fold up, you take it, and you get your finger in there like that, and you can see what it is, and you say, who do you want to be the sender? Now, because 3 times you did this without paying any attention to it, they're not going to pay any attention. You hand that card to the person who's going to be sending. You say, this time I'll be the receiver, only I'm going to try, just do it, send your clues telepathically, don't say them verbally. And now you just start using words that are synonyms for the word that you read, and it seems like you're reading their clues. And then you eventually say, and the word is target, or whatever it is. And that's a great way to logically manage the writing areas and have fun at a party. And that's called password. Have you heard of star power?
Yes.
Not the kind up there,
Right.
but like personalities, like movie stars. And you may have noticed that there were movie stars from the past, like John Wayne or Cary Grant or Katharine Hepburn, who had a lot of charisma, and they just literally came off the screen. And there seems to be less of that. But what I've done is I've written down on here the names of some genuine stars. So we have here, well, there's Cary Grant as a matter of fact, and over here we have Betty Davis and so on, but all movie stars with real charisma. And here's Tom Cruise. No, not Tom Cruise. I'm sorry, I can't deal with that. But we have some legitimate stars here, and what I'd like you to do is just mix them up any way you want.
Okay.
All right, and of course to sense these, would you hold the top of the pendulum and just point to any one of those with your other hand?
With my other hand?
Yeah,
Okay.
just point to any one.
Okay.
this one. Okay, I'm going to put this on the little asterisk there, little spiral. I want you to let the pendulum here. We'll put the rest of these off to the side here. Okay. All right. And just let it move on its own accord. It'll just start to move. You just think it'll start to move, and as it starts to move, yes, you can see it's moving further, it's moving further, it's moving further. This tells me that we have some feminine energy here. This is a very vibrant star, and the pendulum is moving with her vibrancy. And I see this as, she's no longer with us, unfortunately, but her spirit is, because it was so strong, a very elfin kind of Gammon-esque actress. And what I'm getting is Audrey Hepburn. I'll hold that if you'll just detach it, and let's see who it is.
Audrey Hepburn.
Audrey Hepburn. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Mix the rest of them around. Just mix them around any odd way.
Okay.
Okay, and I want you to take this, and I want you to, we'll divide them into two piles. First, hold it over one, hold it over the other, and let's see what kind of vibrations we get. Okay, now this is circling. Well, okay. Just put it over there for a minute, and we'll see if that goes back and forth as opposed to circling. Let's see what happens. Well, okay, it's starting to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Over here it was circling, so we have sort of some male energy over here. So let's deal with the male energy. We have 3 of these. Hold the pendulum over each one, a little bit over each one. Not much is happening with that one. We'll do that. Hold it over there. This one now. This is starting to move, and we're getting that male circulating. I think that's that's very good. Okay, let's put that aside. So I think that's a male star. Just concentrate on who that star would be. I'm going to say one of my favorites. I'm going to say Cary Grant. Open it up and let's see what we have here.
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant. How about that?
That's great.
Okay. So this is Star Power 2, and it's inspired actually by my good friend Roger Monaco, who has a wonderful way of getting the peak. And what he did was he fashioned a pendulum out of Fimo, or whatever that clay material is that dries, and left a little slot in it so that you could push a card in it. I wanted to go a slightly different direction, so I just got a pendulum and put a decorative circular paper clip on it, and this will enable me to get the peak. We're going to actually get 2 peaks in this routine. So you have a bunch of business cards all folded identically for the purpose of doing Acidus Novus, and across the top is written movie star, and across the bottom is written the name of the movie star. Now, if you're familiar with the movie stars that you write down, all you need to know is their last name. In this case, it's Betty Davis, and Davis is in that lower right-hand quadrant. In this case, it's Marilyn Monroe, so there's Monroe. So all I need to see is that lower right-hand quadrant, and I know who the star is. It's Betty Davis. And because of the way I've done it, it doesn't look artificial, movie star Betty Davis. So you open a few, you close them up, you let them mix them, and you say, choose one at random, and you pick it up, and as you go to stick it into the paper clip, that's when you get your peak. So this is Audrey Hepburn. And you have the person hold the pendulum. Now while they're holding the pendulum, we say, we don't need these right now. Here's where you get your second peak. You just start putting them aside, and as you put them aside, just peek at one, This is Greta Garbo. And when you put it down, just give it a little bend so you can recognize it. You put all these aside. The video motor response gets the pendulum to move. You say, oh, this indicates that this is a female a star. This is someone who's very Gammon-esque. This is someone who is charm people to death and blah blah blah. You can name the movies that the person is in, and then you reveal that it's Audrey Hepburn. They open it and they see that in fact it is Audrey Hepburn. So let's try it again, but with all of these. And you just say start, letting it go. You say, okay, well, we'll eliminate some of these. Okay, we'll eliminate some of those, and you just eliminate them, giving the excuse of the pendulum moving is the reason you're eliminating until you're down to one, which you peaked at before, Greta Garbo. And so again, you can say this is a woman, someone more from the 20s, 30s, and early 40s. I think it's Greta Garbo, and they open it up and they see that it's Greta Garbo. So we've gotten 2 peaks, we've done 2 revelations, and you have a lot of fun with the pendulum, and that is Star Power 2. Red, I want you to think of a wish that you would like granted, but reduce your wish to one word. Okay? Can you do that? You have one already? Absolutely. Good. So we have raise, wish. Write the wish there and then fold it up just like that so you can see magic on the outside of the card. Okay. Tank, while he's doing that, I'll show you this amazing Tibetan wishing box. I didn't have to go to Tibet. I went to one of those very strange stores, and when I went back, it wasn't there anymore. But the proprietor told me that this was a box that could energize wishes, that anything put in it would come true. Do you dare take the chance?
Absolutely.
Take a look at it. Nothing inside other than the energy of the box. We're going to put your wish inside the box like this. Close it. And I want you to see, imagine if you will, just power your imagination. An aura coming out through the holes, coming out through the holes. And I can see that this wish actually is something that's important to you. It's very emotional. And I congratulate you on being so sensitive to saying that you wish for love.
Absolutely.
And you will have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. By now you know how Acidus Novus works, so I'm not going to give you exposed shots of getting the reading, but I'll give you another way to actually see it and a way to begin to pump up your routine. So we have the Tibetan wishing box, which you'll see in some of the other volumes. It's an exotic, unusual prop, and you can tell a nice story about it and get the focus there, that this is a box that wishes come true. And now you say something about, I want you to think of some wish that you can describe in 1 or 2 words, that just 1 or 2 words that would represent your wish, and you would have those words written in the lower right-hand quadrant. You pick up the card, and as you go to put the card in the box, that's when you're getting your glimpse. You put it in the box, you close the box, and you give them the box. And now you do your mumbo jumbo of seeing things come out of the box, and it's energized, and eventually you're able to reveal their wish. And the nice touch is to say, I'm sure it will be granted. And that makes them happy as well as amazed. You've heard of fleeting moments, like really quick moments that you just see? Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to do something that's never been done. I'm going to try to connect with your mind, or you connect with mine, while you're going very fast in a car. And just at that exact moment, when you pass, that's when it's going to happen.
Okay.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, as soon as you see me, get a picture in your mind, something you could draw. So it's a simple drawing, like it could be a star or a house or something like that.
Okay.
Just as soon as you see me. Great,
Good.
go on.
My door. Thank you.
Do that automatically?
We're gonna go at some speed when we pass through. We're gonna turn in the Colby.
Same speed?
No, at a faster speed.
Faster speed. All right. Am I going down just right here to
Whatever
turn
makes you
around?
comfortable.
Okay.
But we'll pass in at a pretty good speed.
All right. So I'll just peel out and
Okay.
drive down the wrong side. I'm ready.
Yep.
Do your window need to be down?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Let's go. There he is. Speed demon.
Speed demon, that was
Speed
really
demon.
fast. That was really
For
fast.
Nancy, that is fast.
And you got this image in your mind right when you saw me.
Yeah.
So you hadn't thought about anything before then or after then. Close your eyes for a minute. Imagine you driving by again, really fast, really fast. Is it really strange? I have no idea why you thought of this. I'm not even sure what it is. Open your eyes. What was it that you were visualizing the minute you saw me?
Snake.
A snake. Thanks a lot. That's what I got.
Oh my God! Again! Ah! Yes, you're good.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and I'm being honest.
And that's the speed of thought, too. This is the speed of thought, and this routine shows just how big you can make billet work play. This would be perfect for television, so for any of you who are out there with your next television special, you have my permission to use this routine. We shot it two ways. One way where you're not aware of the billet work, and that's the way you would probably shoot it for television. And then the other way in which you get to see all of the billet work. And that's almost as strong. How it is done is to use Barry Richardson's instant read center tear. And there are a lot of instant read center tears out there. I happen to like Barry's the most, and I always use it with a business card. And so let me teach you that. I draw a target area inside the card. You don't technically really need to do that because you're going to get a large reading area, but I want to play it safe. So this is going to be your target area. And you have someone draw a picture in there. You could have them write a name or a word, but in the speed of thought, they were to draw a picture. And they draw a picture or a symbol, and I'm just going to make it easy, I'm going to draw a star. And the card is folded from left to right with an overlap, and then from top to bottom, so that the overlap, or the shorter side, is inside. I do the pre-folding, I should have mentioned, I do the pre-folding before they draw the picture or write the word. What I do is I ask them to look at the screen, write what they see in there, and then after they've done that I say, I want you to fold the card in half and fold it in half again. And I just give them the instructions so you can see my name on the outside. And that keeps them from folding it in some funny way. So, they take the card, they go in the car, they go into another room, whatever they do. They draw the picture, write the word, they fold it, and they come back. And this is the center tear. You hold the card so the long folded edge is to your left, and the short folded edges are on top. You tear half of the back half off, like that, and you put it in front, aligned with the folded edge. And now you go to tear this half of the front half off, and as you do that, you push the card open behind the cover of your fingers, and you tear that off. So essentially what you've done is you've torn off a strip off the top and a strip off the bottom. And it looks like this, and with all the jagged edges it looks pretty well torn, and that little indent that we had there is facing you, and that's what you're going to use to open the card as you rotate the pieces clockwise. Your thumb is there so you can snap that off. And I'm going to show it to you this way. You put a bow open, and that's going to open the center strip behind the cover of your right fingers. So come over like that. And then you continue tearing, and you've seen the image. So that's Barry's instant read center tear. Now, there are a couple of important points that make this play. So again, you fold it with an left to right with an overlap, top to bottom so it overlaps in the middle. Open it up, and you ask them to draw a picture and to refold it. So what I say when the person comes back, either from being in another room or in the case of speed of thought, comes back from driving, is I take the billet from them and I say, can we trust you? Well, what do you mean? You say, well, I just want to work with your thoughts alone. But you have to be honest. And so I need to know if I can trust you. And they'll say, yes, great, well then we don't need this. And you do Barry's center tear up to that point where you have that large edge. You haven't peeked at it yet. And I say, I'm going to ask you one more time. Can we trust you? Because I guess if I put the pieces together, now I do the move, so it's inside my hand. I say, if I worked hard enough, I could probably still put the pieces together. And I look at it. As I say that, I could probably still put these together. And then I look back at them and I say, but I'd rather trust you and work with your thoughts alone. And of course they're going to say, yeah, you can trust me. And now you just rip up the rest. And that's a really good way of getting the peek. Can I trust you? I'm going to ask you again, can I trust you? Because we could probably put these together, and you look right at it, and you get it, you look back, and you rip up the rest. And that's Barry's instant read center tear. We're going to take a look at what that looks like in performance. And let me just say one other thing is you don't have to do it with a speeding car. You would have someone go in an elevator and say, do it when you're in the elevator, draw it as you're between floors. I use it in conjunction with other techniques, so that this is the killer thing where if someone says, well, I'm not so sure about that, you say, well, go in another room completely. And I have them do that and come back and say, can I trust you? And trust me, they're just completely blown away when you use Barry's instant read center tear. So let's take a look at the performance. You've heard of fleeting moments, like really quick moments
Yes.
that you just see? Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to do something that's never been done. I'm going to try to connect with your mind, or you connect with mine, while you're going very fast in a car. And just at that exact moment, when you pass, that's when it's going to happen.
Okay.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, as soon as you see me, get a picture in your mind, something you could draw. So it's a simple drawing, like it could be a star or a house or something like that.
Okay.
Just as soon as you see me. So when you're coming down, you're looking for me, and you say, there he is. That's the moment that whatever comes into your mind, I want you to draw that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And what you're going to do here, you're going to draw it on this card, and we'll frame it for you. Okay? So draw the picture in there,
Okay.
and then you're going to fold the card in half, and you're going to fold it in half again so you can see magic of the imagination, just like that, my address like that. Okay? So, go do your thing. Don't draw anything until you see me.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Great.
Good.
Go on.
My door. Thank you.
Do that automatically?
We're gonna go at some speed when we pass through and we're turning into Colby.
Same speed?
No, at a faster speed.
Faster speed. All right, am I going down just right here to
Whatever
turn
makes you
around?
comfortable.
Okay.
But we'll pass in at a pretty good speed.
All right, so I'll just peel out and
You're good.
I'm gonna drive down the wrong side. I'm ready.
Yep.
Your window need to be down?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Just go. There he is. Okay.
Turn and park or go back to the camera? What
Just
do you-
turn.
Just turn it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Got it.
You don't like that story.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The speed demon.
Speed demon. That was
Speed
really
demon.
fast. That was really
For
fast.
Nancy, that is fast.
And you drew this. You got this image in your mind right when you saw me.
Yeah.
So you hadn't thought about anything before then or after then.
No.
And then you drew it down. Now I want to ask you a question. Can we trust you?
In what way?
In what way? Well, because I just want to work with your thoughts. I mean, you needed to draw something so that you had a clear image, but I'd rather work just with your thoughts.
Okay.
And I'd rather not use this, but I have to trust you.
Okay.
So if I get what you got, you will be honest.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I'm gonna rip it.
Okay.
Again, can we trust you?
Perfectly.
I can.
Yes.
One last chance, because if I worked at it, I could probably put these pieces together. One last chance. Can I trust you? So you're
I'm not gonna lie.
not gonna
You'll
lie.
be able to tell by my response.
Okay? Close your eyes for a minute. Imagine you driving by again, really fast, really fast. This is really strange. I have no idea why you thought of this. I'm not even sure what it is. Open your eyes. What was it that you were visualizing the minute you saw me?
Snake.
A snake. Thanks a lot. That's what I got.
Oh my God! Again! Ah! Yes, you're good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm being honest.
And that's the speed of thought, too. Nancy, we're gonna do something a little bit different. I want you to. I actually have a business card here with a little yellow dot on it. And do me a favor, just put your initials on the yellow dot. Okay? And it's sort of like a questionnaire. So for us to succeed here, you have to fill out the questionnaire, and what I want you to do right now is I want you to think of your favorite dessert.
Okay.
And you're
That was easy.
gonna write your name and favorite dessert down, and you fill out the questionnaire, and then I'll give you the rest of the instructions. So you can come up here and fill out the questionnaire. Don't let me or anyone else see what you're writing there. And when you've completed the questionnaire, fold it in half. And then you can fold it in half, and fold it in half again, and then stick it under the pen clip.
Okay.
So you've heard about pendulums, and pendulums move, and somehow it's a sort of a manifestation of your own physical responses. And so if you think of something, the pendulum will move in certain ways just by what your body, how your body interacts with that. And when you were a kid playing hot and cold or go fish, you would get those same kinds of physical reactions. We're going to try something with that, and that's how I got the pen. And so the initials are NZ. Do you have a middle initial?
Yes.
And what would that be?
A.
A. Okay. Stands for.
And.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to. We don't need this because we're going to use your reactions. May I have your right hand? I'm just going to lift it up and down. And we're going to go through for your favorite dessert. Pie. No, it's not pie. Something frozen like an ice cream or a gelato. No. Something more on the cake side. It's a little bit more like that. But not quite cake, not quite pudding either, but it's got a sort of a moistness to it. I think it's like an Italian kind of thing. Tiramisu, would that be right? Yeah, okay,
that's right.
good. Now we're going to do something else. Let's try something completely different. I want you to have a picture in your mind. Right? Just create a picture of something that you could draw.
Okay.
Close your eyes and hold my wrist. Well, hold my wrist and then close your eyes.
Thank you.
Okay? And I want you to think of that picture. I want you to sort of visualize that picture. And just let your hand move, but don't consciously move me. Don't consciously move me. I'm not so good at this. But we'll try it. We have to picture something. It's kind of like automatic writing.
Maybe your vision's not so good.
That's it. I don't have my glasses on.
This is a really bad drawing, but that's me. I'm gonna say I better write this because people probably wouldn't know what it was. Would you open your eyes and tell us what it was that you were visualizing, what you saw just in your mind there?
Cat.
A cat. Thank you, Nancy. This is Barry Richardson's routine, the double billet routine from Theater of the Mind Act 2. Barry's consented to have this on DVD, and again, thank you, Barry. It's a great routine in and of itself, but I wanted to include it because it makes a very interesting point, and that is that you can use billets to in even more deceptive ways. And what we have on this billet is we have two writing areas, and we've written instructions, but the rest of the audience isn't aware of that. And how Barry cleverly gets around that is he takes out his business card. He said, I've got a business card here. You can think of it as a kind of a questionnaire. The rest of the audience, it doesn't mean anything, but when you hand this to the person you're going to work with, well, yeah, it's a questionnaire. So they accept it. And you're going to ask them, can you follow instructions? It's important that you follow instructions because you and I are going to work as a team, and that gets the person on your side. And you say, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think of your favorite dessert. And so she writes her favorite dessert in the box at the top. But as she reads the rest of the instructions on the bottom, it says, draw a simple picture in the box below. So she does that as well. The audience thinks that the only thing she's writing down is the name of her favorite dessert. Now the card has been pre-folded, folded in half, and then folded in half again, like this. And because my cards are black, I put a little yellow dot on it. If you use business cards that are light color, you don't need the dot. It's probably more natural that way. So you have a little box, you have the business card in there. I need to work with someone as a team. When you come up, you can follow instructions. I've got a business card here. It's kind of a questionnaire. I'd like you to complete the questionnaire and to think of your favorite dessert and write it on the card. So she writes it on the card, chocolate cake. And she reads down and she draws a picture again. We'll just do a star. They say fold it in half and fold it in half again and say write your initials in the yellow circle there. So write your initials and a Z and say clip it to the pen. So she does that. You take the pen, you say thanks for the pen, and as you're doing that, you memorize the initials, N-A-Z, and then you're going to let that single layer fold down, as we showed you the close-up of, and you can see the dessert, chocolate cake, and you can see the design. You toss that in the box, it's done. You make some comment about the initials as you're doing that. Oh, N-A-Z, what's the A stand for? Oh, that's nice. You toss it in the box. Now you know the dessert, and now you know the picture. You reveal the dessert just as is seen in the performance, and our suggestion is holding the person's hands and moving them up and down as you're getting the different letters of the dessert, and that's what seems to be the important part of it. And then you say, let's try something else. And that's an important phrase, let's try something else. They think everything's done. And you take your pad of paper, you take the pen, you have her close her eyes, you hold onto her hand, and have her think of something that she could draw, which she already drew. And you draw it as if it's automatic writing, so we would draw a star. You say, what were you visualizing? She says a star, and you turn around and show the star. So that's Barry's double billet routine. Let's take a look at that performance, a couple of key points, so you can see how it plays. That's how I got the pen. And so the initials are NZ. Do you have a middle initial?
Yes.
And what would that be?
A.
A. Okay. Stands for?
And.
Okay. This is a really bad draw, but that's me. I'm gonna say I better write this because people probably wouldn't know what it was. would you open your eyes and tell us what it was that you were visualizing, what you saw just in your mind there?
Cat.
A cat. I want want to show you now the Billet of El Zorro, which my creative colleague Richard Bush consented to have on this DVD. It is just a great way of getting pre-show work. The reason it's called the Billet of El Zorro is because the billet sort of looks like a Z if you look at it on end. You could do this with a business card, or you can do it with an index card, just so you can see it. I'll use it with the index card. And we've drawn a whimsical picture of a little guy with a thought cloud over his head. And the thought cloud is going to be where we get the information. So you can draw a picture or a word in there. And you're going to fold the billet up like this. You won't see it folded that way. Everything looks as if it's concealed, and yet behind the cover of your hand you can see that thought cloud. So let me show you exactly how that works, because you won't see this in performance. You will see the result of this in performance, because on the Q&A tape, when I'm doing Q&A with billets, I'm going to use the Billet of El Zorro to get 2 or 3 pieces of information ahead of time. So you have the coin envelope, you have the card, and you ask someone to help you. Say, I've drawn a little picture of you here. Well, it's not a great picture, that's why I'm a mind reader, not an artist. And what I want you to do is I want you to think of a word or a name and write it down there. And when you've done so, just lay it writing side down on my hand. Now let me show you exactly how I made the fold, just to make it easier for you. This fold is a little more than a third, and this fold is a little less than a third, so that we get that kind of action. And then this fold is a little bit less, so we get that kind of action. Okay. So they write the word, they put it on your hand, and they're going to go like this. You don't look, you turn away and you say, are you satisfied with this? Because you want your right hand, are you satisfied with that, or do you want to start all over again? They'll usually say they're satisfied. So now you're going to do this kind of motion to fold the card up, then to fold it like that, and you say, is everything concealed? And they say, yes, so now you turn around. Great. You look for the envelope in this pocket, it's not in this pocket. So now you move the billet to here, and as you go to get the envelope out of this pocket, your hand drops to your side, and you let that spring open so that you go like this, but it looks like that. You haven't done any peeking yet. You say, we're going to seal this, and that's when I get the read. I'm going to seal this into that envelope. So it's this, and I close it into that envelope. If you're uncomfortable with doing that there, you just say, I'm going to seal this, and let your hand drop to your side into the envelope. And you start to give it to him, and you say, wait a minute, the other night I did this, and the guy forgot what he drew or what he wrote. So you open it up. There it is there. You open it up so that the top layer is away from you, and you reverse your hands like that. Just one smooth motion. If you do that, they can't really tell how it was folded. And then I just fold it a little bit like this and say, take one more look, burn it into your memory, and then refold it and put it into the envelope. So what they'll remember is they wrote this thing down, they folded it up, they put it in the envelope, and they keep the envelope. And it's a great way to get pre-show. Do you know what's in here?
No.
Would you feel it? Don't open it, just feel it.
Okay.
Do you have any idea what's in there at all?
Card.
A card, you're psychic. There is a card in there. It's a psychic birthday card. You see? Dear
Blank.
blank, happy birthday. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of someone who you've known somewhere in your life who you used to celebrate their birthday together. It could be someone in grade school, but they're not around this area anymore, or you haven't seen them in a while. Can you think of someone?
Yeah.
All right. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to print that person's name here and sign the card, and then I want you to turn it face down, okay? And I'll turn away.
Okay.
And we'll put that in an envelope because we're going to mail this to this person. And you would always put stamps on it. Could you peel those stamps off, please? All right, well, I'll help. Yeah. They just don't want to peel off, but we'll get them.
That one was coming up. Here you go.
Just doesn't want to come up.
This one here.
This is the hardest part of this, is getting the stamps. Take them all off, just if we can, and because this is a psychic delivery letter, and because it's a psychic delivery letter,
The other one too?
maybe, because it's a psychic delivery letter, it takes a lot more postage, and you can put the last one on. Now, is this person around anymore?
I don't see them, but I hear from them every
You
now
hear
and
from
again.
them, but do you even know where they kind of live anymore?
Have an idea.
You have an idea. Well, that's my job. Because I'm going to psychically send this birthday greeting, and they'll say, gosh, I haven't heard from you in years, and isn't that a nice thing? So I want you to think of who we're going to send it to. And again, there's, it couldn't get, how would they know if it's sealed?
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to get that. Just think of the person. How long ago did you know this person?
I've known them since 6th grade.
Since 6th grade. Well, I can tell you, and I will put this in the mailbox because psychically I will know the person's address, but we have to start with, it's actually a her name, and so we're going to send the psychic day card to your old friend, Nicole.
Yes. Wow. Yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
Completely right. Wow.
Okay.
That's good.
This is the birthday card. It's another kind of peak. You're not using billets, but since we're talking about peaks, it's an interesting one because the idea of transparent envelopes has been around for many years, and it's been updated by Bob Cassidy, Richard Bush, and others. And I wanted to create just a fun little piece, use a small gift card type envelope, and they're usually quite transparent. In fact, I've written here some information, a birthday card, and if I were to hold that there, you could see through it. You could see that something was written on that. And so we have to disguise that, and how we disguise that is from a matching gift envelope. We cut off the address side, and we cut a little piece out, and we push it inside the envelope. Push it inside the envelope, and then we glue the flaps together so it appears to be one envelope. The piece that you cut out from the address side, you glue that to the back of some stamps, self-adhesive stamps. You don't glue it to the stamps, but to the backing, and you put that down in that corner so that it masks everything. And then on top of that, you have a greeting card which says "Dear," and there's a blank there. I've written my name in, "Dear Alan, happy birthday." So it'd be "Dear blank, happy birthday." And on the opposite side at the top, I've put just a little dot. So in the routine, you put this card inside the envelope above the stamps, and you say, do you know what this is? Well, they're not sure. Well, I don't know, it's an envelope. Well, do you know what's inside? Well, I'm not sure. Well, it's a card. It's a birthday card, but it's a psychic birthday card. And you take out the birthday card, and you take out the stamps. I even have postage. And you say, what I want you to do is I want you to think of someone who, as a youngster, you used to celebrate their birthday with, and print their name in there, and you could write your name down there, and I'll make sure that they get that message. And when you're done, just put the card face down. Now, because of that dot, you know what the orientation needs to be, and the orientation needs to be with the dot going in first. You now take the card, holding your hand over that lower quadrant as you seal it, and you say, oh, it needs a stamp as well. And you turn it around, and you're looking at the transparent part of the envelope, and you see the name, in this case, Alan. And now you put the stamps on it, as you would, which covers that transparent part. And now you do whatever mumbo jumbo you want, and you say, I'll make sure it gets to Alan, and you write the name and put it away. And that's the birthday card. Neo, I want you to use your visual mind. Okay? I've got a pad of paper here, and what I'm going to want you to do is to draw an image, picture something that will fit in this picture frame. So I'm going to turn away, you're going to look at the picture frame, you're going to see what pictures you could draw, and then after you've drawn it, just print down here what it is.
Okay.
You know? That way there'll be no confusion later on. And then when you're done, just close the pad up. Okay. Turn away as usual.
Okay.
Pad's closed.
It's closed.
Pad's closed. Just for sake of argument, did you see what he drew? Okay, well, concentrate on it. Did you see what he drew? Okay, I want you to concentrate on it. And obviously, I want you to concentrate on it. And I'm going to try to duplicate it. And what I want you to do, Neo, is give me a piece of paper, and I will try to, you can close it up, put your hand over the thing. Image is too small, image is too small. Make it bigger, like I'm the reverse end of a telescope, so it's small here, it gets bigger. The picture gets bigger to me. Okay. And this is sort of, actually, this is really kind of interesting. You're really kind of like making me work, aren't you? Mm-hmm. You are a creative thinker. You do not make it easy at all. That's the crummiest artwork I've ever done. What is it that you're projecting to me?
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Grrr!
That's it. All right.
When I showed this to Barry Richardson, he loved it so much that he called me up a week after we had been in Santa Monica doing consulting and said that was worth the trip. And so what we're doing here is having someone draw a picture somewhere in the center of the pad, and we're going to do the design duplication. Now what's happened is the pad is just a pad that you would normally get at Staples, but I've taken the lower half of the pages and I've trimmed it so it's like a trapezoid. So all these pages were trimmed with a straight edge and an X-Acto knife, so it's like a trapezoid, and left these pages the way they are. What that means is when the notebook is closed, I can automatically open to that spot, and that's the real secret of this. The part that Barry liked so much was I draw a large rectangle and I ask the person to draw a picture of anything that's recognizable in there that they could describe to someone, and then to write the name of what that is. So if let's say they drew a house, they would print down at the bottom, the only place that they can print, house, and to close the pad up. So the focus is on the picture, but you're going to get the information from the word, and you do that in one of two ways. The way I typically do it is say, here, I'm stopping action, I can read the word in here that says house, but from the front, I'm just lifting the cover. As soon as I've read the word, I let the rest of the pad drop, flip the cover over and say, tear off a piece of paper for me. And after they tear it off, close it up and put your hand on it. So from their point of view, I've simply opened the cover, and yet in that brief instant, I saw the word house. To give you a better look at that, it looks just like that, and I'm reading the word down here. The other way to do it, which I'll do if they're not paying a whole lot of attention, is I might move the pad towards them. So let's say the pad's back here, and I might get it that way as I move the pad towards them and say, no, put your hand on it. So it's a great effect, and the idea of writing the word at the bottom is one that you'll see in the next piece. Barry's versatile billet, I call it his versatile billet. It's a combination of two things that he published, and I think he already figured this out, but he hasn't published it yet. So it's really Barry's. It's a way of folding the billet so that you can get information no matter how they refold it. And so the first thing is to fold it in half with a little bit of overlap, and then to fold this half back to the crease like this, and to fold the other half back to the crease like that, unfold them, and then fold the billet like that so it's in quarters. So we're going to use that idea that we saw in the telescope with this billet. We're going to draw a picture, or we're going to draw a box. Ask them to draw something, and then let's say a star, and to write what it is at the bottom, just as we did with the memo pad. You ask them to fold the billet in half, and fold it in half again, which is the way that they will typically fold it. And you take it in your hand, and you just change the orientation. So the orientation will go from here to here. So now that looks like Barry's double billet. You let that just open up and you see star. And then you can fold it back the other way. And now you know it's a star. So the way that would play is, they fold it, you say, who here would you like to hold this? That's when you get, oh, you like Tank to hold it. Okay, Tank, will you hold that? and now you know what's been drawn on the billet. So that's Barry's versatile billet, and you really can, doesn't matter how they fold it, you're going to be able to see the information. Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Thanks for helping me out. Yeah, I really, really appreciate it. Have you ever heard the expression, a penny for your thoughts?
No.
Okay. Well, it's an expression a lot of people do when they watch someone thinking and they say, got a penny for your thoughts. So in other words, like, tell me what you're thinking about. And it was for years, but it's changed now because of inflation. Now it's a dollar for your thoughts. So we're going to do something, and I'm going to try to peer into your mind, but nothing too scary. Peer into your mind using, and if I'm successful, I get to keep my dollar. But if I'm not successful, you get the dollar. Okay? Fair enough. You don't, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And let me get one of my business cards out. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to think of a simple object that you can draw. It could be like a tree or anything that you could draw. You don't have to be a big artist. That if you showed it to people, they would kind of know what it was. Can you think of something that you might be able to draw? Mm-hmm. Okay. What I want you to do is sort of draw it, if you would, because we're going to wrap this up in the bill, somewhere between the two lines. Okay. And I'm going to turn away from you so that I have no opportunity to see what you're drawing. I really don't want to work with physical objects. What I want to work with is just that image in your mind. And so after you've drawn whatever it is you're going to draw, I want you to really focus on it and to see it clearly in your mind. And you're doing that right now, aren't you? You can see it? Okay. Hold the card face down. Okay? So you can't see through the card or anything, so if I turn around, I wouldn't see anything. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. To make it interesting, and with the dollar in your hands, we'll put your card here inside the bill, like this. And I want you to hold on to it, just like that. Okay? So your thought is in there, your image is in there. I have no idea. You're very good. You're really good. You know, you've got this image. It's really clear, and but you're keeping me out. That's very good. So that'll come in handy for you as you know you're dating and stuff like that. You know, it'll be really good. But I have no idea what this is, but so I can't even name it. But I'm going to give you the major image I'm getting. Just close your eyes for a minute and just picture what it is that you're drawing. I have no idea what this is, but if it's anywhere close, I get to keep my dollar. Okay, you can open your eyes, take the card. I'll hold the dollar. Would you turn it over and show us what you drew? What is that?
A banana.
A banana. Wow.
I know, it doesn't really look like it.
But that's pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess I get to keep my dollar. Thanks very much, Emily. Okay, this is dollar for your thoughts. Let me show you how you construct the gaff. Basically, you have a fairly new dollar that you've creased in thirds, and on the inside of the dollar, you've put a piece of silver reflective mylar with some Scotch tape. Put that in your wallet, and you can watch a performance either before or after to see what the premise is. But we're going to get a reflection of whatever he draws on the business card. And I usually draw a couple of lines on either side so that he knows not to draw outside the lines. And I unfold the dollar. When I bring it up, put the dollar, it says, you know, if I don't get what it is that you draw, you get to keep the dollar. Pick up the dollar, folding that top third, the one with the mylar, down, and holding it in your hand like this. You take the card and you let the top edge of the card catch that back crease, which enables you to see the mylar and see the reflection. I can see it's a star. You push it up and like that, and you let him hold it. You, on a pad of paper, another business card, you draw it, you say, I think I got it, I'll take the dollar. You keep the card. What did you draw? Star. Look at what I drew. Star. And that's dollar for your thoughts, and you just put the dollar away. If someone says, well, I want to see that dollar, say, no, no, I want the dollar. And you're done. Matt, I remember the first time I made money. I was raking leaves at my parents' house, and I think I got $1 because when I was a kid, everything was 99 cents. Do you remember, without telling me, do you remember the first thing that anyone ever paid you to do? Any little chore or anything like that?
Yes.
You do remember what that is, okay. Then what I'd like you to do you remember how much you got paid or just what you did?
Just what I did.
Just what you did. I want you to print what that was in 1 or 2 words on the card. Don't fold it in half because we're going to wrap it in the dollar bill.
Just 2 words of what I did.
Well, you know, describe it simply is what I'm saying. You know, if you built the Taj Mahal, that's probably not believable.
On both sides.
Yeah, just right across it. You know, we're not worried about where you write on the card.
Okay.
Okay? And we're going to actually put your card inside the bill. We're going to wrap it up like this so that it's completely and totally enclosed. And here's where I get to earn my money. Because, you know, if I read your thought, then I get to keep the dollar. If I don't, then you get to keep the dollar.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Hold this in your hand, like this. Just like that. How long ago was this?
Oh, a long time ago.
Was it a hot day like this?
Yes.
So when you pulled weeds, it was really bad, right? Is that right?
Yes.
And I guess I get to keep the dollar.
Good job.
Okay, this one is called First Dollar Earned. It's another way of getting a peek, but because we don't want to have the reflection to read words backwards, we're going to use a different method. And the construction of this dollar is that, it's a relatively new dollar that's been creased in thirds, and we sliced open, we're using a straight edge and an X-Acto knife. It's about 1/2 inch here. Because of the design of the dollar, if you hold the edges together, you can't really. It just looks like a dollar. Fold this over, and what you're going to do is you're going to push that piece out just a little bit, so it looks like the third, and you're going to apparently put the card in between the 2/3 of the bill, but of course what you've done is you've slid the card under that flap, but over this, and now you fold it all the way, so now you can show it all the way around. Stick your thumb here, pushing that and letting this drop back, and you can now read what is written in that area. You don't let it unfold all the way. You give it to him to hold. You duplicate what they wrote. You say, I'll keep the dollar, and you show what they wrote. And that's first dollar ever earned. Here's an idea for using Acidus Novus. Tear out from the newspaper a crossword puzzle. You can start filling in the rest of the squares, just whatever words fit. Just make sure that you leave some of the squares down in that lower right quadrant open. And you say, gee, I no longer have the clues, but if you would like write whatever word fits in to, let's say, 61 across, and you just tell them, into 61 across, we'll use that. And then you just do, again, Acidus Novus, reading 61 across. And you might switch it up. You say, you know, there's another popular word game. It's called Scrabble, in which you just use the letters. So we'll just use letters. And you dribble the pieces and you get the letters until you finally get the word. And that's another way of using Acidus Novus. Layla, good to see you. Thanks for coming by this morning. Do you remember records? Were records even in your memory bank? Because you're pretty young.
Vaguely.
Vaguely, okay. You're more of a CD kind of person and now iPod. Well, over there on that counter, there's some centers of records, the labels of records. They're now posters. Okay. And I just want you to go over and pick up any one of them. And you can just do that right now.
Okay.
And let's see what you've picked here. You have picked Rusty Draper. I don't even know who Rusty Draper is, but there's some great jazz standards here like Skylark and I'll Get By and so on. You know, and this is very nostalgic for me. Trust me, in 20 years you're going to be saying, remember those CDs? Oh, they were great, now they're coasters. There's going to be something else. So what I want you to do is you're going to create your own label. And we'll use this as something to write on. And we'll draw the label right here like this. So there's the label. And what I want you to do is think of some recording artist today that you enjoy. Okay? And I want you to print his or her name there. And if there's a particular song of his or hers that you like, you can print that below and then just fold it in half and fold it in half again. Okay?
Okay.
I won't look at you. I'll turn away. Make it one you really enjoy, a person that you really enjoy. I'll take the pen when you're ready so you can do the folding.
Okay.
Great, and fold it over and fold it in half like we agreed. Let me know when you've done that.
Done.
Okay, so you've created this label. It's an original label, all of your own.
Okay.
And you did it with these things. We're going to actually, now that you've done it, it's firmly in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You can take that. In fact, we don't even need this. I just wanted you to get it into your mind. I don't want to put it on the floor, so we'll put it here. Would you take that back and bring me another label?
Okay.
Thanks. Anyone? And you didn't even look at it, so there couldn't even be a clue here as to what this was. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you sort of spin the label for me. I'm going to spin the label so it'll be like it's on a record player, and think of your artist and actually hear the song. Okay? If you do that, start spinning it, spin it, hold it up a little higher. I actually can hear the song. But I'm not familiar with the artist. Think of the artist. Is the artist a man or a woman?
Man.
A man. Okay. Kind of first in the field almost. That's how I'm get first in the field. Who would that be? Is there an artist called Primus?
Primus.
Primus, is that the artist?
That's the name of the band.
That's the name of the band. That's the name of the band, okay. And what kind of band are they?
I don't know, Shirley. What kind of band are they? They're kind of punk.
Punk. I've never heard a punk version of Devil Goes Down in Georgia. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
So let's spend some time on the classic center tear. Most of you know it. I just have a couple of points. As you know, the information is written somewhere in the center. That's why it's called the center tear. They fold the paper in half. They fold it in half again. They can do this. And then traditionally, you tear the paper in half and keep track of that corner. And you tear the paper in half again, and you steal away the center corner while you have the other pieces burned or thrown away, and you're able to read the center. Just a couple of points on the center tear. One is you might try doing it and let them do everything. So you have them write whatever they write or draw whatever they're going to draw in the center of the paper. Say fold it in half. They fold it in half. They fold it in half again, they fold it in half again. You say, now that you've done that, I want you to release the energy. So would you tear that paper in half? Let them tear it in half. And just sort of try to keep your eye on where that corner is. Say, put the pieces together, tear it in half again. And say, did you feel anything as you did that? Did you feel the energy releasing? And they say, well, no, or yes, or whatever. You take the pieces from them, you spot the center, the torn out center, you pull that back, say, well, let me give it one more tear and hold on to the pieces. And now you let them hold on to the pieces, but you've stolen the center away, which you can open in your pocket or at your side. And now just use suggestion. They're holding in their hand, can you feel the energy? If you know any of the psychokinetic touches thing, you can make them feel sensations in their hand. And now you can reveal the information. So it's the classic center tear, but apparently they've done all the work. And then you just retrieve the pieces for them to throw them away. Another way of doing the center tear, the mechanics are the same, but we're going to use, and you saw this when we were in artifacts, we're going to use record labels from old records. These are actual cut-out labels from records. And so they're very evocative for people of a certain age. And in the performance in artifacts, I was usually a young woman who hadn't even seen records. And I said, well, that's okay. You know, when you get to be my age, you're going to be talking about, weren't those CDs great? Because they won't have CDs at that point. They're just, so pick out any record label. She does. You ask her, you hand her a piece of paper, you say, you're going to create your own label, and you draw a circle. Now that really makes perfect sense. We have a record label, you're going to create your own label. You have her write the name of the artist down, you have her write the name of her favorite song, fold the paper in half, fold the paper in half again. Great, you have them both. And you say, you know, put that label aside. As a matter of fact, we don't even need this anymore. And you do the center tear and just toss the pieces away. Pick out any other label, and she does, and you just open the center behind the cover of the record label, and you say, here's what I want you to do, is I want you to spin the record around, but instead of thinking of Rusty Draper here, I want you to think of the artist that you had in mind and the song that you had in mind, and you give them the label. You've stolen the center away. You've already read who their artist is and what the song is, and as they spin it, you're able to reveal everything. So it's an old center tear, but a new handling. Okay, let's talk about some other ways of doing the center tear. Back to the crossword puzzle. I've filled out everything except for the center. Have them fill in a word, close it up, and you just tear it up and you steal the center and you play Scrabble and reveal the word. That's another way of doing the center tear. Finally, let's take a look at some other designs. This is from my good friend Bill Cushman. Bill Cushman has a routine called the 7 Deadly Sins. And he's done a little scene of a graveyard, a couple of trees. He has the tombstone, the 3D tombstone, which was suggested by his 13-year-old daughter, Joni. And he says, there are 7 deadly sins. There's avarice, pride, envy, gluttony, anger, lust, and sloth. Which sin would you like to get rid of? And if they're a little uncomfortable, we say, well, okay, it doesn't have to be a sin, maybe just a little bad habit you'd like to get away with. Just think of that and write it on the tombstone. And then you ask her to fold it in half again, and you say, we'll go through a little ritual to remove your sin. And so the first tear begins to unbind and unweave the twisted ties around that bad habit. You tear it again and you say, that begins to influence the root cause of what is in another tear, feel the energy release. And so we have a very ritualistic kind of thing, and this is a great use of space because it's a picture that covers the entire card and it doesn't feel like a center tear. And then in the end you can say, that bad habit is already starting to leave your consciousness as you reveal the bad habit. Bill also contributed this from a routine that he calls free will. And in this case, he generally draws it as he goes along. I want you to think of a question that's on your mind, reduce it to one word. And he says, well, this question has its roots in the past. Somebody writes past down. And then he draws a line, and he said, but it also has implications for the future, and he writes future over here. And he says, but the question is in the present, and he writes present down there. And it's a matter of choice or free will. Now, the person writes the one word there, folds the paper in half, folds it in half again. You do the center tear, and you're able to reveal her question from that word. And finally, Punks. Punks has, this is not Punks', but the idea is to do abstract drawing and have different pieces of information. You can do the center tear there. And for Acidus Novus, this is contributed by my friend Tony Rosano. Tony does a Q&A with just Acidus Novus, and what he does is he puts lines up here. He has instructions which says, please follow the directions below. The directions below say, think of a question, write 3 words that relate to that question on the line. And he does Acidus Novus to get that information. If you want to use the lower right-hand quadrant, write your instructions this way and put the lines down there. And it gets folded up for Acidus Novus, and you get to see those 3 words, and you're able to reveal that. So those are some ways of managing space on cards, so you can do Acidus Novus, so you can do center tears. Now I'd like to introduce a very good friend of mine, Kenton Knepper. I've known Kenton now for about 10 years. I've known him as an eclectic performer who incorporates magic and mentalism in a very unique blend. His persona is a wizard. We share a lot of similar performing philosophies, but our styles are very, very different. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so happy to have Kenton here with us today, so that he can provide a different viewpoint on billet work. You'll find that through the course of the 4 DVDs that we've produced on billet work, that these conversations between Kenton and I will perhaps bring some interesting points that you can consider to make your billet work more powerful and more fun to do. So welcome, Kenton.
Glad to be with you, as always.
So Kenton, let me just ask, I know you've done magic, I know you've done mentalism. Have you ever focused on mentalism exclusively?
For a very short period of time, and it went all right, but quite frankly, I think it fell a little flat for me. It was too intellectual for my audiences. My audiences always sense something more that they wanted from me, and so it limited my character, and so I ended up mixing it up a little bit so that they got all of me, not just my head only.
And yet, you've come up with some amazing mentalism concepts.
I love mentalism. I absolutely love mentalism. I think it's important to connect the head to the heart, and that's where I was struggling at that time.
Okay. Have you ever used billet work in your mentalism?
Not billets per se.
Okay.
No.
And why would that be?
A couple reasons. One is, especially early on, I had a hard time deciding what excuses I could come up with to make people write something on a piece of paper. That used to really bother me. I've come up with solutions since then, but that was a real stumbling block for a while. And another part of it for me was fear. It's just fear of how to hold that, do a billet switch in a way that was natural to me, in a way that didn't seem unauthentic or phony. I really needed to have it be something that just went with the flow like everything else I did. And I just didn't have those methods until some of your work came along.
Well, thank you. It's I think I've noticed the same thing. I believe that more mentalists don't use billet work than I think they should, because they're afraid of technique, and we're going to deal with technique in a way that it will be easy and natural for the person who wants to learn billet work. And then I think routining, some of the older texts, Animan as an example, had some great routines, and some of the modern mentalists of today, like Bob Cassidy, have some amazing routines. But a lot of the work on billets was very sort of dry and technique oriented, and yet even that didn't answer the question. So I think there's been a little bit of a learning gap, and that's what I'm trying to address in this series.
I totally agree, and I think that your ability to not only expand or create new principles and new adaptations of work, but also your ability to bridge the old with what we need now is really what's fun.
Well, great. Well, there's 5 questions I want to discuss with you, 5 questions that I think as a performer of billet work, or really only any mentalist, but especially billet work, that you need to answer. And the first question that we're going to cover is what? By what, I mean, what exactly are you going to ask someone to write down on a piece of paper or a piece of card? It could be a word, it could be a name, it could be a drawing, a symbol, a number. It could be almost anything. So when you're constructing a routine or a presentation, you need to decide what it is that they're going to write. You had a product out, and you've had several products out, where you could gain secret information. You weren't doing billet work, but what did you have people write or draw?
Well, it varied, especially depending on the device. Some of the devices don't give you the freedom that a billet does. But for example, we would do 2 geometrical shapes or 2 or 3 digit numbers. And the reason then to draw or write something down was we need you to just quickly, whatever comes to your mind, totally subconsciously, write that down now. So that gave them a reason so they wouldn't have to consciously remember. And okay, now another one, quickly, without thinking. And so then writing it down made a little sense. Then they would fold it up to keep it with them, and we would talk about the meaning of symbols or the meaning of numbers, how the first symbol or number was a conscious thought or subconscious thought, and the second was conscious, depending. And then start telling them, of course, by then knowing what some of the information really was, unbeknownst to them. 3s, for example, are about friendly people who will, really can get things done. They need to focus, but if they focus, they can't. And go in a whole reading, of course, and not knowing that you're really talking based on what you've learned.
Right.
So that kind of thing was always an interest to me.
Okay. Well, I felt that if you could get something that they connected with. And you'll see in a lot of the routines that there's something that's either fun or it might even be profound. It might be a memory of someone that was close to them. It might be a fond wish or desire. And making something that they have a connection with as part of that what I found makes a big difference in people being interested in what you would do with billets.
I know one thing that, and it's pretty controversial, but one thing that I did do along those lines, because I agree with you, as you know, about having some kind of emotive power behind things, that we would have people figure on an area that was very personal to them that needed some point of healing. And then you have to be very careful how you do that, of course, but that gave them something to really focus on that was emotional and meant something to them, and sealed it away, so it was personal. And yet, to talk to them about a solution without supposedly knowing the problem, which really helped a great deal of people. It was very interesting with the reactions.
Good. So now let's talk about why, the second question. Okay, Ken, so why? Why would you have someone write down? Why would they even agree to do that?
Exactly. I think that's what a lot of people miss, and that's also really one of the underlying reasons for the fear. Well, I'm going to have to make them do this, and why do I have to make them do that? And the solution really is, well, have a good reason for it, and then that part of the fear goes away. For example, one of the things I have used is simply to say, make your mind so that I can have access to it. I need to have you make your mind completely blank, totally just see nothing but a white screen, purely white as snow, nothing else, no other thought, no. Here, I'll tell you what, this is getting difficult. Just take this, look at this blank card, envision it that way, make it easier on you. Okay? So that gives them a reason to, oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, that was really difficult to do. This is simple. Okay, now, instead of putting it in your mind, just write it on the card so you can see it visually that way. And that works. Another thing is oftentimes they'll say, write it in your mind, see what that picture in your mind or that word in your mind or the number or what have you, that meaningful relationship. See it vividly, make sure you see it clearly. See all the details. Remember that you're worrying about, you're going to forget some of this. I'll tell you what, just write down a couple of the main details. And that, again, gives them a relief, so they want to do it because it's, oh good, I was afraid I'd forget as we got along. You tell them, look, it's going to take a while, so I want to make sure you don't forget. Maybe you better write it down just to be sure.
Now, another one that you used to do, I don't know if you did this, explain this on your Wonder Words CDs or where I heard you say this, but it's one I've used quite a lot, is in case we need it later.
Right, yeah, I've used it in Time Machine exactly from Wonder Words for ages now, decades. And it is simply, all right, I need you to write this down just in case we need proof later on.
Yeah.
You never go back to it in that case, so it's really a nice way to keep it out of sight, out of mind. But just in case we need proof later on, well, you give them proof in some other way, so you don't need to reference back to the paper, and therefore it stays out of their consciousness.
Well, here's three that I've also used in addition to the ones that you've mentioned. One is drawings. Drawings are great. In fact, drawings are the best reason to write something down, because if I ask you to think of a word, well, why do I need to write it down? I can think of it, cat, or a number, 29. It's Nancy's birthday, so I would remember 29. Why do I need to write that down? When you say, I want you to visualize something that you can draw, it's kind of not real to them until they draw it. And I find that gets accepted, very, very easily. It's a little sterile in that they're just drawing something. So one of the things that I will try to do is to say, draw something that has some meaning to you. That sometimes puts them on the spot, but if they can do it, they might draw a tennis racket if they play tennis, or if they feel that they're an optimistic, sunny person, they might draw a smiley face. And now you have some additional connection there. So, but drawings are great, and of course, the revelation is wonderful because now it's a visual revelation that you do later on. Another one that I've sometimes used is choice, or you might say, look, I'm going to ask you to think of something, but when I do this, people say, oh, well, everyone thinks of that. So why don't you write 3 things down? Write 3 words down or 3 cities down. Okay, cross out the other 2. Now just focus on the one. Well, in order to go through that process, you have to write it down. So that's a good way. And bottom line, I think scripting helps. By scripting, I don't necessarily mean what I say now, but how you set up the scenario. Here's a really good example. Barry Richardson, in his second book, Theater of the Mind, Act 2, has a wonderful routine, and he talks about going to, as a kid, a Boy Scout camp, and all the kids having fears or wishes, and the camp counselor saying, well, just write that down, and you know, we'll talk about that later. Tear it up, we'll talk about it later. And so he uses that childhood memory, I don't know if it was real or not, but he uses that childhood memory to make it seem natural that you should do this.
Well, and related to that, I mean, in a sense, that's really very ceremonial. And of course, those people that do more magic or bizarre, weird magic can certainly make a ceremonial reason for needing to write something down. Whether it be a card with mystical symbols on it, or certain sigils, or simply we need to have you write it down so we can release this phobia, or we need to have you write it down so we can put it into the ethers. Sure.
I guess the last thing, sometimes you just do it.
That's right.
Sometimes you say, here, write this down. And you don't make much of it. And they just sort of go along with the flow.
And exactly, energy goes and energy flows where attention goes, and therefore sometimes when we put too much effort on why they need to write something down, all the attention goes there,
Yeah.
and all their energy goes there as opposed to where we want it, which is the rest of the effect.
But I think, and I hope you'll agree, that asking yourself the question, why do they need to write this down? What's the reason they need to do that? Not from a method point of view, but from a presentation point of view. Asking that question is very valuable in creating a strong routine and in getting engagement from the people that you're working with.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone should necessarily, even though they might be applicable, I don't think anyone should necessarily use what we do. I think they do need to ask the question.
Yeah, great. For more on peaks, I've got a couple of great resources for you. The first one is from Millard Longman and our mutual friend Lauren Tyndall. Lauren Tyndall has something called the Pro Shop, and we'll put that website at the end of this DVD. This is everything you wanted to know about Acidus Novus, and in my experience, the creators who continue to develop things really are the ones to look for. And this is just a terrific CD. It has video on it. It also has PDF files, and it's a great resource for Acidus Novus. Richard Bush has written 2 books so far, and I know a third's on the way. The first book is called Peak Performances, and it came out about 5 years ago. And it has more than just peaks using billets. It has peaks using cards, and it has some other great routines. But this book has an awful lot on peaks and variations of tears, and it has the billet of El Zorro in it, and it's highly recommended. His second book I don't have with me to show you, but it's called Peak Encores, and Peak Encores features 3 in-depth moves and what Richard has done with them. And probably another year or 2 we'll have the third book out. So this is a great place to go for literature on peaks.